Hey everyone, welcome to Orb Creations, the show where I build an app, you get to see how I do it, and you get the source code in the description. Today we're building a stopwatch app. This app will keep track of and display time like a stopwatch. To start, we want to have a spot to display the time that the stopwatch records, as well as a button for starting and a button for stopping the stopwatch. We'll eventually implement a button to clear the time, but we'll start with this for now. As far as the time goes, we want a JavaScript object with the milliseconds, seconds, and minutes recorded. We'll store some defaults in a module context script block and initialize our time variable to it. We're also going to need a state variable to indicate whether the stopwatch is running or not. So let's initialize that. Finally, we'll need to initialize a variable to hold our internal timer, which is how we'll increment the time. In the time div in our UI, we want to display the time with leading zeros. That means if only 2 minutes have elapsed, we want to display 02 instead of just 2. For milliseconds, we want to have 2 leading zeros. When the user clicked start, we'll call a start time handler that sets running to true and creates an interval timer that updates the time in our stopwatch's time object. To prevent UI glitches, if the stopwatch has run for more than 60 minutes, we'll stop the stopwatch. On each step, we'll increment the milliseconds by 4. On my computer, any value less than 4 would go faster than the event loop, causing the stopwatch to actually increment slower than it should. So 4 is the lowest I could go. When the milliseconds counter exceeds 1000, we'll reset the MS property to 0 and increment the seconds counter. Similarly, when the seconds counter exceeds 60, we'll reset the S property to 0 and increment the minutes counter. At the very end, we'll make an assignment to our time state object to tell Svelte to update the UI. Great, that's the hard part done. Now let's define the stop handler. To stop the stopwatch, we simply set the running variable to false and clear the interval. It's that simple. Now, after the user starts and then stops the stopwatch, we'll need a way for them to clear the time on the stopwatch so that they can start over again. To do this, we need to know whether the stopwatch is displaying all zeros. We'll put this in a reactive variable. If the stopwatch has 0 time or the stopwatch is currently running, there's no need for a clear button. However, if the time is stopped and the user has residual time from a previous stopwatch record, then we should swap out the stop time handler for a clear time handler and change the UI text to clear instead of stop. The clear time handler will just set the time variable to the default. Now let's make it pretty. And there you have it, a stopwatch app. The app is currently hosted on Orb at stopwatch.orbapps.com, link is in the description. All of the code that goes into this app is linked in the description. Be sure to check out these other videos on your screen right now. YouTube doesn't tell me ahead of time what they are, but I'm sure they're great. If you want to stay up to date on new apps we're building and coding tips and tricks, be sure to smash that subscribe button and follow us everywhere else. Until next time, remember, stopwatches are only good for a short time.